Hey guys, is C++ a good first programming language? Before I get into it, I want to mention something called Bug Replay. It's a browser plugin / service used for software testers for web apps. Click on the button, it captures video, not only video of what's going on the screen, but also all the browser environmental variables, basically everything that a web developer needs. This is a sponsored endorsement, one of the very, actually maybe the first on YouTube. So if you want to learn more, click on the link below. All right, is C++ a good first programming language? In a nutshell, I would say no. And before you C++ zealots out there go crazy, I'm not attacking C++. C++ is a very powerful language. It has many uses. It's very relevant. You check out my other videos on it. I don't disparage C++ in any way. But the question is not a question of whether or not C++ is a good language, is whether or not it's a good language for the noob beginner programmer. And it's not, in my humble opinion, as an educator for many years now, because it's very complex. There's a lot of things that you have to manage in C++ that you don't have to manage in other languages like Python, like JavaScript, like PHP, like Swift, like Ruby. Now, you can argue with C++, you're going to be learning more about the guts, if you will, of the computers, but the fact of the matter is most developers are using high-level languages these days, meaning languages that are not as complex as C++. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of jobs in C++, but there's a lot more programmers collectively doing JavaScript, Python, PHP, Swift, and Java work without all of that extra headaches that C++ gives you. Again, this is a question of an educational choice as a tool, the language, C++ as a tool of education. So because C++ is complex, I would go with other languages as the first programming language, like Python, etc. Now, you say to yourself, well, I want to learn C++. Why would I learn Python? It doesn't make any sense. Well, that's because 90% of modern day programming languages all share the same principles and techniques, core techniques and core principles, core concepts. So when you learn Python, you basically going to be learning 90% of what C++ is all about. When you learn JavaScript, same thing. And so when you learn Python, it's much more approachable. It's much easier to learn. So you're going to learn all these concepts in a much easier way. So if you wanted to get to C++, Python is in fact the easier, the better route, or JavaScript, or even PHP. And it's just a training process. It's kind of like if you want to teach somebody how to ski, you don't put them on the triple black diamond super hard hill and push them down the slope and say, you're going to be closer to the mountain. No, you put them on the bunny slopes, you teach them the basics, and then once they get comfortable with that, they can move on into the more the harder hills, right? Same thing. You got to think of C++ because it has a lot of power and it runs super fast. With that power comes complexity, and you have to have a deeper knowledge of things. So if you want to learn C++, learn Python first, learn JavaScript first, learn Swift first, learn PHP first, learn Java first. In terms of complexity, in terms of ease of learning, I would say that something like a Python is amongst the easiest, or JavaScript, PHP, and then Ruby. What else is there? Swift. And then on top of that, you would have something like a little bit more complex, something like Java, because with Java, you have to do more things. You have to be mindful and aware of more things than you do in languages like JavaScript and Python. If you're a coder, if you're a programmer, I'm talking about the fact that you have to be explicit in your type declarations. In Java, you don't have to be in the other languages, in Python and so on. And then on top of Java, what's even more complex, of course, is C++. So if you want to get to C++, again, go through these other languages. So my opinion as an educator, the quickest way to learning C++ is to start with a basic language, a simpler language at first. That's it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're new, don't think just because Python is simpler, Java is simpler, PHP is simpler, JavaScript is simpler, Doesn't mean that they are inferior or there's less jobs or there's less money to be made or less productive. In fact, most modern programming these days are done with these higher level languages because they're more productive. Much in the same way that furniture makers don't go and cut down their own trees anymore. They go to the lumber place and they get the wood all milled already to build their furniture. Not the perfect analogy, but I hope it conveys the general message and meaning. And there you go. I know I'm going to get people who are not going to be too pleased. Again, if you're a C++ guy, I'm not saying C++ sucks. I'm saying it's just, you should have a bridging language beforehand, in my opinion. All right, that's it.